Most parents don't realize how fast a baby's brain is changing right now, not in years or months, but literally day by day, moment by moment. From the outside, it can look like nothing much is happening. Your baby eats, sleeps, cries, smiles, and repeats the same patterns again and again. But on the inside, something extraordinary is taking place. Millions of connections are forming between brain cells, and those connections are being shaped by the smallest, simplest experiences. Not by expensive toys, not by early classes, and not by anything complicated. Just tiny, everyday moments that most parents either rush through or don't even notice. Here is the most important thing to understand from the very beginning. You do not need to turn your baby into a project. You do not need to optimize every second, and you certainly do not need to feel pressure to make your child a genius. A healthy, strong brain is not built through pressure. It is built through safety, connection, repetition, and simple interactions that tell the brain, again and again, that the world is predictable and supportive. When parents understand this, everything becomes calmer. Parenting feels less like a race and more like a relationship. One of the biggest myths in modern parenting is that brain development requires stimulation at all times. In reality, the baby brain develops best when stimulation is balanced with rest and regulation. Overstimulation can actually interfere with healthy brain wiring. The brain needs space to process, to rest, and to integrate experiences. This is why some of the most powerful brain-shaping moments look almost boring from the outside. They are quiet, they are slow, and they are deeply human. One tiny thing that shapes a baby's brain for life is responsive interaction. When your baby makes a sound, looks at you, moves their hands, or changes their facial expression, and you respond in a warm, attentive way, something very important happens in the brain. This back-and-forth interaction teaches the brain that communication works. It teaches cause and effect. It lays the foundation for language, emotional regulation, and social connection. This doesn't require full conversations or educational talk. A smile in response to a smile, a gentle sound back to a coo, or naming what your baby is looking at is enough. These moments wire the brain for connection. Another tiny but powerful influence on the brain is eye contact. When you and your baby lock eyes, especially during calm, connected moments, the brain releases chemicals associated with bonding and safety. Eye contact helps organize the developing nervous system. It teaches your baby to read faces, emotions, and social cues. This skill becomes the foundation for empathy and communication later in life. You don't need to force eye contact or demand attention. Just notice when it naturally happens and stay present for those moments. Your tone of voice matters more than your words. Babies do not understand language at first, but they are incredibly sensitive to tone. A calm, warm, steady voice signals safety to the brain. A sharp, tense, or unpredictable tone signals stress. Over time, the baby's brain learns what emotional environment it lives in. This doesn't mean you must be calm all the time. No parent is. What matters is the overall pattern. When your voice most often communicates reassurance, the brain develops stronger regulation pathways. Another tiny thing that shapes the brain is physical closeness. Holding your baby, carrying them, rocking them, and responding to their need for contact all help regulate their nervous system. Physical touch is not just comforting. It actively supports brain development by helping the baby's body learn how to manage stress. When a baby is held during distress, their stress hormones decrease more quickly. Over time, the brain learns how to self-soothe because it was first soothed by someone else. Routine is another quiet but powerful brain shepherd. Babies do not understand clocks, but their brains are very sensitive to patterns. When feeding, sleeping, and daily rhythms are somewhat predictable, the brain learns what to expect. This reduces anxiety and frees up energy for learning and growth. Routines do not need to be rigid or perfect. Even loose consistency helps the brain feel safe. Safety is the foundation of learning. Sleep is one of the most underestimated factors in brain development. During sleep, The brain processes what it has experienced, strengthens important connections, and clears out unnecessary ones. A well-rested brain is better able to regulate emotions, focus attention, and learn new skills. Supporting healthy sleep habits is not just about rest. It is about brain architecture. Gentle bedtime routines, a calm environment, and consistent sleep cues all support this process. Another tiny but impactful thing is allowing your baby to move freely. Movement is not just physical, it is cognitive. When babies kick, reach, roll, crawl, and explore their bodies, they are mapping their brain to their body. This builds coordination, spatial awareness, and problem-solving skills. You don't need special equipment for this. Safe floor time, freedom to move, and opportunities to explore at their own pace are enough. Talking to your baby, even before they can respond with words, plays a huge role in shaping the brain. Describing what you are doing, naming objects, and speaking naturally exposes the brain to language patterns. This builds the foundation for vocabulary, comprehension, and later reading skills. You don't need to use baby talk or advanced words, just real, everyday language delivered with warmth. Reading to your baby is another small habit with lifelong effects. Even when babies don't understand the story, they are absorbing rhythm, tone, and language structure. Reading also creates moments of shared attention, which are critical for learning. These moments tell the brain that learning happens in connection with another person. That association matters more than the content of the book. Emotional validation, even in infancy, shapes the brain. When your baby cries and you respond with care rather than dismissal, the brain learns that emotions are manageable. This does not mean responding instantly every time or preventing all distress. It means responding consistently enough that the baby learns they are not alone in their feelings. This builds emotional resilience over time. Another tiny influence is your own emotional regulation. Babies are highly sensitive to the emotional states of their caregivers. When you are calm, your baby's nervous system tends to settle. When you are highly stressed, your baby often feels it too. This does not mean you must hide your emotions. It means that taking care of yourself is not selfish. It directly supports your child's brain development. Limiting overstimulation is also important. Loud noises, constant screens, and rapid changes can overwhelm a developing brain. A calm environment with moments of stimulation followed by rest allows the brain to process information more effectively. This does not require isolation or silence. It requires balance. Play, especially simple play, is another essential brain builder. Play allows babies to explore cause and effect, practice skills, and experiment safely. You do not need structured activities. Simple interactions like peekaboo, stacking objects, or exploring textures are enough. Play that follows the baby's interest is especially powerful. Allowing frustration in small, manageable doses also shapes the brain. When a baby tries to reach a toy or figure something out and struggles briefly, their brain is learning persistence. The key is balance. Too much frustration overwhelms the brain. Too little deprives it of growth opportunities. Being present and supportive without immediately solving every problem helps build resilience. Nutrition supports brain development too, but it does not need to be perfect to be effective. Consistent, nourishing meals support overall growth. Stress around feeding, however, can interfere with regulation. A calm, responsive approach to feeding supports both physical and brain health. Your facial expressions are another powerful signal. Babies learn to read emotions by watching your face. When your expressions are responsive and varied, the brain learns emotional nuance. This supports social understanding later in life. Time outdoors, even in small amounts, also benefits brain development. Natural light, fresh air, and varied sensory input support regulation and attention. This does not require long outings. Even brief exposure can help. Perhaps one of the most important things to remember is that brain development is cumulative. No single moment makes or breaks it. It is the pattern over time that matters. This is incredibly relieving for parents. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to be present often enough. Many parents worry they are not doing enough. In reality, most are already doing many of these things without realizing their impact. The brain does not need more pressure. It needs more connection. When you slow down and notice these tiny moments, parenting becomes less overwhelming and more meaningful. As your baby grows, these early experiences form the foundation for learning, behavior, and emotional health. A brain built on safety, connection, and regulation is better prepared to handle challenges later in life. This does not guarantee an easy path, but it provides resilience. If there is one thing to take away, it is this: you do not need to add more. You need to notice more. The way you look at your baby, speak to them, hold them, and respond to them is already shaping their brain in powerful ways. You are not behind. You are not missing something essential. You are already doing one of the most important jobs there is. So the next time you feel pressure to do more, pause. Look at your baby. Breathe. Remember that these small, quiet moments are not small at all. They are building a brain that will carry your child through a lifetime. And that is more than enough.